So I started making this book and midway through just fell in love with it and decided I'd record even though I am not finished with it yet. So this is going to be a journal I'm going to take when I go on a trip. So it is a junk journal full of jelly printed pages, maps, paper from the Diving Gone to Heaven course, all kinds of fun stuff. And this is made from a very old cookbook that I found at an estate sale. The spine was really in tatters, so I just cut off the spine and then used the covers for my book. And this is sort of a modification of the expanded spine journal that I've made previously. But for this one, what I did was to take this beautiful dyed cotton fabric that I had made. I had a big sheet of it. And to reinforce it, I glued onto the back of the cotton fabric just some thick craft paper to give it a little more stability. And then I had this book cloth that I had made out of a scarf, which didn't really work out because the glue kind of came through, but it has a little sturdiness to it. So I glued a piece of that to the back. And together that makes for a nice kind of flexible, sturdy cover. So I took a separate piece of that, and I'll open this up to show you, and glued this piece onto the outside of the front cover and the back cover. And then I found a piece of sari ribbon and glued that on using this Fabrifix glue. It came through a little bit, so in the end I think I'm going to just paint it all with matte medium to try to kind of even that out. And and then once I had glued that together, I kind of thought about how I was going to do my spine stitching. And I love to do it freeform, kind of just starting out and seeing what I feel like. So I decided to make some cutouts. So I just cut those out using an X-Acto knife on the mat. And then I created a template kind of working around that, where I put in some stitches or holes, 2 rows at the top, 2 rows at the bottom, and then made sets of rows that I was going to put my cross stitches in. So you see I've already stitched 2 of those, and then I'm going to stitch the 3rd one, and then I'm going to do a little simple straight stitch across the bottom to hold it in. I have, how many? 5 signatures, and I did choose my signature wrappers, kind of the cover paper for each signature, in a sort of semi-coordinating fashion, so that that part of it that kind of peeks through has a nice color range to it. So for each of these set of X's, I'm using this black, it's not wax linen thread, this is a polyester thread that I got on Amazon. Comes in a pack of 36 colors, really affordable and seems to work great and very sturdy. So I am gonna go ahead and just do 5 lengths to make that stitch. I think that's a little more than I'll need, but just give it a little extra. And as you may know, if you've ever done these cross stitches, there's different ways to do it. What I typically do is go in the first signature, or sorry, out, from inside to out the first signature, then outside to in into the second signature, straight up inside, come out, and then again into the next one, straight up inside and come out, 1 down, and then come up, and then work my way back and then tie off. You can use the same string and go back to the next one, but I ran out of thread. And then I just use a regular, I don't know if these are typically bookbinding needles, but these needles seem to work well. So I'm going to go in again at this top hole of the first signature here, and I use these little clips to hold my signatures. I love these, they're really cute and sturdy. So I'm going to go in down here at this first hole. Since the first 2 are in, usually that makes it relatively easy to find the outside hole, and work my way through. course, somehow I have a knot in there. Ooh. All right. Always lots of trial and error. So I'll pull that through and leave a little bit at the end to tie my knot. So I came out number 1, and I'm going back into number 2. And again, you need to find the middle of your signature and to find your hole there. And you do have to be a little careful trying to find the pathway of where your hole was punched before. So I use all kinds of papers for this journal. These are, I'm not even sure what these are, old. I'm not sure if it's architecture or some kind of drafting paper. You do want to make sure it's tight. And then we're going to come back up inside. You can always tighten it up a little bit at the end. That first one can be a little loose because the other end is loose. But after that, you want to try to tighten. So then we're again going to go across and down to the next one. And I love making junk journals when I'm doing artwork or writing, because there's something about having all these different kinds of paper and recycled papers that just creates a very low bar. So it makes me feel a lot freer to mess it up, do whatever I want, compared to just pristine, beautiful paper, which often I find intimidating for making art. And that's also much easier for me to find inspiration on those pages if there's already something on the page. And so I've made several of these before just using canvas for this spine and just reinforcing it with gesso. I did not do that for this fabric, but that would have made it even sturdier. We're going to see how this works. So with the ledger paper, it is quite fragile, so I just used washi tape to kind of reinforce it so that it will hold. And then when you are making your signatures, you want that center page, you know, right here where you're stitching, to try to not have that be too fragile, because you're more likely to tear there. If you have more fragile papers, kind of stick them in the middle of the signature. So I'm trying to find my hole. It looks like it split a little bit. Let's see if I can locate where that last hole is. I kind of cut it a little aggressively when I was making the holes in the spine. So see if we can get through that. There we go. All right. And now that we've gone all the way, we're just going to come back again. So here you want to try not to split the thread when you go through again. So sometimes you have to kind of scooch it a little bit to the side to make sure you don't split it. It's not the end of the world if you do. I'm just tightening up here a little bit. And then coming back through. So you are going to have these double stitches when you come back. And here we're just trying to get to the side there. And then you see that coming back in, that starts to make those X's. So it looks like I did split my thread, just like I said you shouldn't do. So sometimes what you can do to salvage that situation is take your needle off and then try to kind of pick it out from this side. It's a little hard to see because of the wax there. But sometimes you can make it work and sometimes you can't. So I'm just going to back that out and just put that through again. And it's just because if one thread has split the other, then it's hard to really pull it tight. So I just brought that back out again. We'll rethread. and do it again. And then here, we're just gonna try to angle kind of away and then try to push that away. There we go. Okay. All right, and then we're gonna come back in here to the next signature, find our middle, and to get through that hole without splitting the thread, and just kind of inkling it up. This paper I made with just a coffee table book paper, and I just spray painted black spray paint through a stencil. I keep a big box of just leftover papers and junk mail, and then when I want to make a new journal, I just rifle through all those things and just pull out what speaks to me in the moment. And I try not to be too precious. I'm trying more to really use what I have. Sometimes you get these papers that are just so pretty that you feel like you need something very special to use them for, and then you just never use them. So I'm trying to really use things and not save them for a rainy day. And I've never regretted using something special for one of these journals. So we're on our last one here. And we're going to bring that back into the back where we started, in the middle of the first signature. Come on. Okay. And then I did pull through some of this, so this is going to be a little bit short to tie, but I think we can do it. So usually I'll tie it over this knot. So you just do a square knot over, and then I'll hold down and then try to kind of tie down as tightly as you can. And then there. Okay. All right, so that is all of the cross stitches, and then I'm just going to do a simple stitch through each of these, just more kind of for decoration and to hold it a little bit. So I can just use this same thread and kind of go through here and then tie off there. So this is getting a little bit close to the edge. Usually I try to start in by about 1/2 inch, but I just really wanted this decorative element there. So, and for this, I'm just gonna tie a 1/2 hitch knot. And that I just need to hold tight. And bring it that way. And one should do it, but it's always nice to have one extra. All right, and then we'll cut that off. All right, so I finished these last little stitches, so my book is all done, and I'm gonna take out these little clips. These are great. I got a pack of 100 of these. They're so cute and they work really well. And so this is my book. So I'm very excited to use it. I love, this is a piano roll paper that I dyed and glued in as an end paper, and various papers of all kinds, piano roll paper, spray painted paper, graph paper, jelly printed paper, random book pages, and some blank paper for writing. And very, very excited to get started using this journal. So I hope that inspires you. If you're watching the video, you probably have an old book cover around, so I encourage you to just tear up a book. You can get one at the dollar store, at a thrift store, maybe one from your shelf, and find some fabric and stiffen it up with some heavy paper. And I encourage you to just try it out. Try not to measure too much. It might be wonky, but just go ahead and grab papers from your stash and make something today. All right, thanks for watching.